Greetings and welcome to another video. My name is Italian Stallion, and today we have, I guess you could call it a continuation of one of my older videos, and by older videos I mean literally something I did 2 weeks ago. I believe it was called something like FIFA 19, the FUT Champions Experiment, why scorelines don't matter. And what I did in that video is basically I took all my games from a weekend league, where I believe I finished with 23 wins and 6 losses, so 29 games played in total. And I basically I took all the goals that I scored in that weekend league and all the goals that I conceded, and based on my own subjective opinion, guys, this is so important, my own opinion, right? Just what you can disagree with it, you can agree with it, but based on my own opinion, so I'm not saying it's facts, I took every goal that I scored, and out of every goal that I scored, I broke down exactly with a number and the exact percentage of how many of those goals was I happy with, how many did I take, not the blame for, but how many I took responsibility for, how many of them I believed I deserved to score, and then how many of those goals that I scored were bad, what percentage of them were lucky goals that I shouldn't have scored, the goals that only went in because of the flaws of the game. And the same with goals conceded, based on my own opinion, how many of the goals that I conceded were goals where I could take responsibility for, that were my own fault, and then how many of those goals that I truly believe were down to the flaws of the game, goals that wouldn't be scored in a FIFA that would be more balanced or a better game. So the video did really well, but we had a comment that I found really interesting from a pro player. Then he said, it'd be interesting to see you do this with someone else's goal, because you'd be even more unbiased. Even though I tried to be as objective as possible making that video, at the end of the day it's my goals, and so I'd always be less biased with someone else's. And so Lukasinho, shout out to Lukasinho, sent us all his games from the Ultimate Team of the Season Weekend League. And basically what you're seeing in the background are all the goals, as you can see from the green border. We have a green light because these are the goals that he scored that I thought were good. And we're going to do the same thing for his goals. We're going to do exactly what he suggested. And so before we get into that, the main disclaimer I want to make, because we have time to talk now that we're looking at the goals he scored in the background, because he did score a lot, and these are obviously the good ones. Main disclaimer is that Lukasinho, follow him, right? He's got a Twitter, he's got 2 YouTube, Swedish, English. Follow them all, because at the end of the day, someone raging in Swedish about El Tornado it's a universal feeling, it doesn't have to be in English. But yeah, show him some love. It was a real grind for me to make this video, because obviously tons of footage, and obviously it was a grind for him as well, because he had to send me so many files. I don't even know how many gigabytes of data we sent each other, or well, he sent me in the past week to get this video done. So shout out to Lukasinho, thank you for sending us your games and allowing us to do this with your gameplay, right? Obviously, second disclaimer, which is super important, Lukasinho is a FIFA god. He has proven himself time and time again, year in and year out, in games that were extremely difficult, that were regarded as really good FIFAs. So he's got nothing to prove. And this is kind of a disclaimer, because obviously as a pro player, he is forced to perform some of the actions that on this channel I have been pretty much ridiculing, right? But it's not his fault at the end of the day. He didn't make this game. He's just doing what he has to do as a competitive player, as a professional player who plays in professional leagues and tournaments. He's got to do what he's got to do, because everyone else is also doing it, right? So he has to do what he has to do. At the end of the day, the game being in the state that it is hurts someone like Lukasinho more than it helps him, right? Because, while we make fun of La Croqueta users and Tornado users, it's not that I'm saying that all of them would struggle in a game without tornadoes. No, of course not. A lot of them would do well, and a lot of them wouldn't. Some of them are actually getting carried by these mechanics, but I promise you that Lukasinho isn't one of them. And even if he was, it's not his fault. He didn't make this game, right? It's not his fault. The game is the way that it is. And so, obviously, he's got nothing to prove. But at the same time, even though I'm a big fan, he's someone that I looked up to in FIFA 17 in terms of his counterattacking style gameplay. That doesn't mean I'm going to be lenient, right? We're going to see a lot of his goals. Obviously, these are ones that I put that I thought were good, but some of the goals that he scores later, I'm going to show you why I thought they were bad. And I was pretty much trying to follow the same sort of, I guess you could say, standards that I did for my own. So we're big fans of Lukasinho, but we're not gonna be lenient. And I guess the other disclaimers, again, I can't stress this enough. It's my opinion, guys. I tried to be fair based on my own standards. You might not agree with my standards, but it is what it is. And also, again, like I said last videos, I know that croquetas are good. I know that tornadoes are part of the game and it's how you score, but I don't care if it's how you have to score in this game. If you show me no tornado cross, I'm never gonna clap. I'm never gonna show my awe. I'm never gonna be in awe about those goals. I'm always gonna deem those goals as goals that should never happen, even if it's a game that requires for them to happen, because this game is built in a way that it forces you to play bad football. But as you can see from the screen, these are the stats from Lukasinho's weekend league. So obviously congrats to him for the 28-2. A good result for us mere mortals. Probably not something that he'd be extremely happy with, just because, you know, when you're at that level, you always want that 30-0. But nonetheless, 28-2, good result. He scored 98 goals, and we're gonna compare his stats to mine in the conclusion side of the video, because there's some interesting conclusions we can make. Again, 98 goals, conceded only 29, and 18 clean sheets, and then obviously 19 rage quits. And then out of the total goals scored, so out of total of 98 goals, in my opinion, we claim, our argument is that 60 of those goals, or 61%, were good goals scored. And then obviously if 60 were good, 38, the remaining we considered bad, and we're going to go over them later, so 39% of them. And then out of all the 29 goals conceded, in our opinion, 10 of those 29 were good, so only 34%. And then even then, though, it could have been a lot less than 10. I was being pretty lenient, just to make the point that even us being lenient and putting goals that were probably still bad in this list shows, you know, how few these good goals are and how rare they are, for especially when you're looking at someone like Lukasinho's gameplay, because to score on him, you're going to need some luck. And then obviously 19 goals conceded that we thought were just flat out bad. So 66% of the goals that he conceded, we thought they were just down to the game just being FIFA 19. And so obviously we go on to the first thing we're going to look at are the good goals he conceded, the first 10, and you're going to see a green border. Obviously you see the green border signifies that these are the good goals conceded. And out of these two, the first two are fine, right? He gets broken down. Obviously you never know if Lukasinho had delay. I know he struggles with it a lot as well, but that goes without saying. We all have delay. It all sucks, but we kind of have to ignore it for this video. And then two of these 10 were user error. Obviously here he makes the mistake. Could have been delay, but maybe he should have taken a touch, in my opinion, or something. Here he moved his keeper out the way, so user error. Two of them start from kickoff, and you know, we didn't put every single kickoff goal here, but these two we still considered good enough, even though the first one could arguably have been saved. It was a tough angle, but Neymar 5-star weak foot. The second one, he does get beaten on the heel-to-heel. Two were compensation. What I mean by compensation is, you see, he's lucky to get the rebound, but at the end of the day, that should just be a goal. Same with this case. I think he was too far off here, and it was an auto interception anyways. And obviously the goal is cheesy, but he should have probably scored the first time around. One's a penalty. What are you going to say really about a penalty? It's a penalty, is a penalty. And one is a cross. All Il Tornado crosses are bad, but not all crosses are necessarily bad. You know, we included some of those in the good goals and some of those in the bad goals. And out of the bad goals he conceded, obviously, how many of them? 3 of them stem from kickoff, but they're not bad because of kickoff, right? This one had lifted passes all over the place. This one specifically was like a near post shot that God knows how it went in. You know, I have my opinions on near post shots. Hate me, love me, but that it is. This one, this clip wasn't fully transferred for some reason, but it was a kickoff. 5 of these bad goals, of these 19, stemmed from situation of rebounds where Lukasinho did really good tackles, and then further down the play he conceded, and these were way too good of tackles for me to just let them slide. So obviously really bad goals in my opinion to concede. And if this is you know, you could say it's part of football, but honestly the situation is horrific, as you can see from this example as well. If it wasn't as bad as I claim it is, then tell me why for FIFA 20 they advertised the new planned tackling, where you actually make a tackle, the ball goes back to you. Clearly if it was addressed, it was a big problem. One of these goals that I considered bad was a corner. All corner goals for me are just random as hell. And then this one had a lifted pass. And these last 9 goals, or these last 10 goals, well, one of them is delayed, but you'll see it in the end. These are just general cheese goals that can stem from first-time shots, tornadoes, lifted passes, near-post cheese, or just shooting through crowds. It's incredible how easy it is to shoot through crowds in this game. The near post there, Lukasinho stopped because he saw he had a tight angle and he still scored. Here he shoots through a crowd. We got my favorite, the nutmeg epidemic, a cheeky little nutmeg here on the near post as well. We got a second nutmeg over here, I believe, with Cavani power shooting. We got lunging animations over here with he's stuck. He could have intercepted this, but the game made his tell is stuck because he was busy doing an animation. And this last one is obviously delay related, right? And then if we look at the bad goals he scored, right? These are 38 of his goals. You know, these include 3 first-time shots that he scored. I can't deem these shots good. 19 of the bad goals that he scored, at least bad in my opinion, stemmed from crossing situations that we're going to see after the first-timers. And, you know, what can you say? For me, crosses, like the most basic of cross comes from a set piece, right? For me, corners are just random as hell, especially because, and we're going to see in some of these corners, some of the times, even if he's manually selecting him, someone to aim at, his AI will actually step in and take the header for him. So just that's why I just can never respect a corner. Right here, you see Vieira. He was aiming for someone else, but Vieira steps in. And just for me, these corners are just not, they're just too RNG, and for me, they're always going to be bad. Then we got just classic corners that I thought, you know, I put some classic crosses, not corners, in the good goals, but that's because he was in a counter situation. He had outnumbered the defense and he saw the mismatch. I considered these crosses a bit more random, a bit more lucky. And so that's why these weren't, not all crosses were bad, but not all crosses were good as well. And you know, you can see that these are mostly based off of the mismatch and just having Team of the Year Mbappe. Obviously, any El Tornado, as you can see, I'm going to include as a bad goal because this is my opinion. If you don't agree, that's fine. But for me, any El Tornado cross is going to be seen as a negative way to score, as a way to score that shouldn't be in the game. And I'm sure Lukasinho would be the first to agree, but this is kind of what you have to do in this game to survive, to be consistent, because it's just a game that's not built for you to break someone down. Like, the channels to make entry passes don't exist. The drop back doesn't allow you to break someone down. And then obviously 9 of these, now that we've just seen 19, come from Croqueta situations that stem from Croquetas. And I did put 2 goals in the good goals he scored section that came with a Croqueta, but he did one, and you know, the defender made such mistakes that the Croqueta wasn't sort of the star of the show there. It was more the fact that his opponent did like awful defending, and so it didn't really matter. But here you'll see the common denominator in the Croqueta goals that I deemed, I guess, not goal and just extremely glitchy. The common denominator here is that he tends to, there's a lot of chaining going on here, right? So that was kind of the deciding factor. Also, in the ones that didn't have chaining, either like this one, there's a weird rebound, or there's like the improper use of it, where you just use it for not for what it's intended to be used for. And then I guess, yeah, the slithering like a snake is the main factor, and then a few of them you shoot through the legs. And then the last 7 are just RNG situations, random situations that I couldn't categorize. That could be anything like just a shot that should have been saved, really. Or it could be a first-time shot that just rebounds back, just a messy goal. I did add a few penalties because these penalties, I've seen them before and I've scored them before and I've conceded them before. And whether I score them or I concede them, I'm like, how the hell did that go in, right? Because they're central enough where the goalie should save them. But it is what it is. Here, obviously, it's one where the defender could have easily made the interception, but that's how FIFA 19 is, and that's a classic touch and shoot, right? And so now that we've done 2 videos this way and we've used the same style both on my own goals and then Lukasinho's goals as well, what kind of conclusions can we make? Well, the first thing I want to say is that yes, I am probably overcritical and over analytical about a lot of situations, but no one here is saying that, or at least I'm not implying that that we need a game where there are 0 random goals, 0 awful goals. Like, things are gonna happen. I think the whole point of my videos that often gets misinterpreted is that it's not the fact that there's nutmegs here, or this there, or that there. It's the fact that of how frequently they occur. The whole point is that we have destroyed any sort of balance that FIFA used to have. FIFA has always had bad goals in every FIFA, but at the end of the day, despite all FIFAs having bad goals, there's always everyone always has their favorite FIFA. And that's because everyone has their own taste, and based on my own taste, I think that this FIFA has broken every sort of logic available to mankind. I think we've just gone to a point where there's too many bad things happening too frequently. That's the point of my videos. And also that there is no skill gap, but that's you know, a different topic altogether. At least skill gap in the sense that it's all in the wrong places. In terms of the actual stats per se, I think that the stats speak for themselves. Like, both me and Lukasinho had, you know, not that many goals conceded compared to the average user. And out of those goals conceded, the vast majority of them were horrible. I think that we both had a similar amount of goals conceded. You know, he conceded only 5 less, but in general, the main difference is that he completely outscored me. And what does that tell me? It personally, at a personal level, it tells me that for me to consistently be able to hit higher scores in Weekend League, if I even cared at this point about FIFA 19, the answer is to you know, score a lot more I guess set piece goals, which would be corners and set pieces, but also El Tornado headers and Croqueta goals. But that's not me implying that the difference between a player like me, an elite caliber player, and a professional like Lukasinho lies within the Croqueta goals and the corner goals. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. The difference between an elite player and a pro player is something that you cannot describe. It's very intangible. You feel it when you play him. You feel it when you play a pro, and that's that. But I think I can confidently say that the difference between a 23 and a difference between a 27, at least consistently, is the amount of broken goals, because 2 people can hit 28 and 2 every weekend consecutively at the same time for 5 weekends in a row, but those 2 players could be at a completely different skill level, and that's because Weekend League is random. It's all about noob slaying, but not necessarily noob slaying, just slaying out and getting as many dubs as you can, because matchmaking is going to be different for everyone. You're not always matchmaking people at the same level. So the point is that from these stats, we can derive that the main difference is that, you know, to achieve really good results in Weekend League, you need to break the game or do what works. But at the same time, just because you can get a 28 doesn't mean you are at the same level of a professional. Because once you get 28, okay, you've gotten to that point, but then you have to go play offline or online qualifiers, and now you're playing everyone else who also gets 28. You know, and not everyone who's verified goes on and does well at online tournaments, because otherwise everyone would qualify. Hope you guys enjoyed. That's all I gotta say. Again, big shout out to Lukasinho, and until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.